So hello and good evening everyone. I am Ajinkya Dalal, Marketing Head of WEFA in India. I welcome you all to the platform of Attention to Nutrition, an initiative by I Am the Best Mom. Attention to Nutrition has been coined to increase the knowledge and focus towards nutrition and towards our eating habits as well. So the need has further raised during this pandemic, as we all are aware of, and nutrition should be treated as a new normal now. Our today's topic for the discussion has been an area of interest to all of us. Yes, we are going to discuss today on ketogenic diet, epilepsy, and more. Celebrating the sixth day of National Nutrition Week, we have with us our esteemed speakers, Dr. Vilas Jadhav and Dr. Shilpa Jadhav. I would like to introduce Dr. Vilas Jadhav. Sir is a consultant pediatric neurologist in Arya Child Neurology Clinic, Kolhapur. Dr. Vilas has attended and presented at many international national conferences on epilepsy and neurology. He is the member of American Epilepsy Society. He is indeed an authority in the domain. It's a privilege to have you, sir.
Thank you, Ajinkya.
Next panelist is Dr. Shilpa Jadhav. She is a consultant dietitian and clinical nutritionist Kolhapur. She works with Arya Pediatric Super Specialty Center and she is a life member of Indian Dietetic Association. She has conducted workshops and lectures on nutrition for dietitians, students, ladies, media personnel, marathon runners, patients in hospital about their diet and health issues. And she works with weekly columns with leading newspaper and she was invited as a speaker on a TV talk show about healthy diet. I welcome you, ma'am. So to start with, I have a couple of instructions for all the attendees. Be participative so that you can learn more about the subject. We have the poll during the session where your responses will matter a lot. And at the end of the session, we will take Q&A. So ask your questions with a lot of precision. And don't worry, all your questions will be answered. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ajinkya. I hope I am audible to you all.
Yes, sir. You're
Thank you for kind introduction. Thank you all for joining in large number on this important topic. My job today is just to set a stage so that Dr. Shilpa will take over, because we pediatric neurologists quite often find in a situation where we have no answers for that. I'll be presenting three scenarios where nutritionists, dietitians can help us in long way. This first scenario is a 6-year-old girl who had normal birth details. She has seizures in 6 months of age. Initial seizures were epileptic spasms, and presently she gets 5 types of seizures: focal unaware, myoclonic, drop attacks, n number of atypical abscesses. So all types of seizures, very bad epilepsy to have. Her present seizure frequency is around 20 drops. So every time she drops, injures her head. There are lots of injuries. Many myoclonic, n number of atypical absences. So pretty bad epilepsy with onset at 6 months of age. She has a global delay. She is retarded severely, and MRI done shows bilateral diffuse pachygyria with, you can see here, is a band heterotropia. So it's a grim scenario where, because all anti-epileptics have failed. I'll show you how many anti-epileptics we tried. These are true cases there where we encountered in last 2 years of ketogenic diet practice here at our center. Drugs received was ACTH, phenobarbital, valproic acid, clobazam, lamotrigine, topiramate, prednisolone, and possibly all. We couldn't offer her epilepsy surgery as the lesions were quite bilateral, extensive, and non-operable. So we were stuck where to go from here on. Case scenario 2. This boy, I remember distinctly, had absolutely normal almost a month or 2 months before. Then he developed headache, vomiting, signs of raised acidity, double vision, squint, you know. And on examination, he had left lateral rectus palsy. There was a papilledema. So clear signs of raised ICT, hyperreflexia, bilateral extensor plantars, and MRI shows this. A pontine glioma, you can see this place, severe, huge glioma. Now issue is we can't operate this because it is very close to vital centers. Second is we tried radiotherapy because it's amenable to chemo. We had option of radiotherapy. We tried, but on the contrary, he deteriorated. He deteriorated within 2 weeks. He was absolutely comatose now, and we had no option what to do now. So the answers, obviously, I'll my second speaker will let you know how we went ahead and all. Case 3 is he is a 9-year-old boy who has episodic abnormal movements since 2 years of age. So first case was intractable epilepsy, second case was inoperable brain tumor, and third is a movement disorder with some seizures also. So combination of movement disorder and some seizures. So movements are brought on after sudden getting up from sitting position. See, whenever he's sitting, he doesn't have any problem. Whenever he gets up from the sitting position or turns back while walking, then he gets this abnormal movements. I'll show you movements. He's fine now, he's standing. The moment he turns back, he gets this episode. See that there is a dystonic posturing of both upper limbs, then there is dystonia of face too, and then there are some choreothetic movements at the end. It becomes absolutely normal after the episode. So has this dyskinesia usually on movements. So movements are brief, they are bizarre, they involve face, neck, trunk and hands. He does not fall down or lose consciousness, has no postictal sleep, drowsiness or confusion. On the top of that, he had 5 to 6 episodes of generalized true seizures. So it was a mixed kind of thing. And his birth details were normal. He had some mild global delay. Family history was negative. Borderline intellect on examination, his EEG MRI done twice was normal. He was tried, before he came to us, he was tried on 4 anti-epileptic drugs thinking that this transient episodes are against seizures. Generalized clonic seizures stopped with anti-epileptic drugs, but not these movements. So what we did is we did CSF glucose, and the glucose was only 32 milligram per cent. That was a fasting CSF glucose with a simultaneous blood sugar of 86. So we had an answer. So this was a GLUT1 deficiency where the glucose content of the brain is so less that child gets these episodes of this is called as paroxysmal kinesiogenic dyskinesias and seizures. So only option, we can't treat with anti-epileptic this. We have to just shoot up, step up the CSF glucose with the help of diet, and here is a role of nutritionist. So I call over Dr. Shilpa for how things can make us straighten, and she'll guide you from here onwards. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the case studies. So,
Good evening.
good evening, and I welcome you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, sir, for setting the stage, and good evening to one and all present of board for this webinar. Today, I'm here to talk about the implications of ketogenic diet, and in the coming 45 minutes, I'll be talking about the history and basics of ketogenic diet, its types, mechanism, indications, and also a case from my practice if the time permits. So you all must be hearing the word keto every now and then. People say that it's a new craze in dietetics. It's a new thing, new in thing. Okay, this diet has been popularized in the best-selling books. It's promoted by celebrities. It's touted on social media. Okay, why this diet is getting so much popular? Maybe you can eat your favorite desserts and oils and ghees and fried stuff, and still you can lose weight. That too very fast. That's what they say about it. But is it true? Now, to know what is correct and what is not, and how the ketogenic diet works, we have to understand the mechanism behind this diet. Okay. Let's see what you think of keto first. Okay. So, Ajinkya sir, can we have the first poll, please?
Yes, ma'am.
You all just have to answer this question before we start the presentation. The ketogenic diet is
So the
first
poll is there
option.
on the screen, ma'am.
Yes, high carbohydrate, low fat diet, high fat, low carbohydrate diet, or high protein, low carbohydrate diet. I request all the attendees to click on one option.
They can submit it. We have 1 minute for your responses.
Okay, we have 1 minute for this.
So click the option and submit so that your response will get recorded. We'll flash the results now in a few seconds.
Yeah. Okay, so we have our results over here. 7% people say that high carbohydrate, low fat diet. 56% people say that it's a high fat, low carbohydrate diet, and 38% say it's a high protein, low carbohydrate diet. So most of the people have answered correctly. It is a high fat, low carbohydrate diet. Okay, thank you very much for responding. Fine. So to begin with, ketogenic diet is not a new thing or a modern thing, but this diet has been practiced since almost century. Yes, I use the word century and not years because to dig deep, the history of ketogenic diet is really very long. How long that we can find its references right from the age of Hippocrates, right from the age of Bible. I'll begin my presentation with this picture from Bible itself. No, the slide is not changing. Give me 1 moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a picture from Bible. What you can see over here, a sick child is brought to Jesus Christ, and the parents are saying, "Please cure our child because he is possessed by demons." Okay, you know, even before the term like epilepsy were coined, the conversion-like symptoms were said to be possessions by evil powers and all. So what Jesus Christ advises over here that not to eat anything until the possession is gone. So the child is kept on fasting and he gets cured. Okay, so this was practiced until the beginning of 19th century, that whenever they used to see the conversion-like symptoms, the patient were used to be kept on fasting. Okay, beginning of 19th century, researches began in the field how fasting cures the epileptic discharges. 1921, Dr. Wilder, a scientist, proposed that the benefits of fasting are actually the results of ketonemia in the body. He also proposed that we can bring the similar benefits of fasting if we induce ketonemia by some other means. Now, what other means? So that is a high-fat diet. Then in 1924, another scientist, Dr. Peterman, also proposed another model of ketogenic diet. So we were making such kind of progress in those therapies, but this progress was kept on hold by the advent of anti-epileptic medications. The advent of anti-epileptic medications changed the treatment protocol for epilepsy. This was the easier method. It was a simple method. Just take the drug and the seizures are gone. So there was no need for such complicated diets or starvation. So what happened? The interest in the ketogenic diet was declined. Fewer patients were put on KD. Fewer dietitians were trained in KD. This is another figure which shows the action of anti-epileptic drugs over the epileptic patients. This down portion, like blue portion over here, it shows the number of patients which respond to first ever choice of the anti-epileptic drug. The orange portion shows the number of patients who respond to the second drug, and yellow to the third drug. The green patch represents the number of patients who do not respond to any of the drug, but they may respond if drug combinations are given. And the dark red portion over here, that shows the number of patients who are not responsive to any of the drug or the drug combinations. Now what? What to do about these patients? This is a really big quantum. So at this point, again the eyes and hopes were back on ketogenic diet. Again the researches began in the high-fat diets, and what we see today is much simpler, practical version of ketogenic diets. Johns Hopkins Institute in United States is known to be the main center where the researches and practice of KD went on. This is a photo of Dr. John Freeman and dietitian M. Kelly, who kept the use of KD going for long. Gradually, these therapies were trusted and proven by whole of the world. Then these therapies spread from US to UK, then to Asian countries. In 1993, there is also one movie about ketogenic diet. The name of that movie is First Do No Harm, starring Meryl Streep. So this much things were happening in whole of the world, but India was unaware of those therapies until the year 1996. After which, neurologist from India, Dr. Janak Nathan, visited Johns Hopkins Institute. He came under the influence of Dr. John Freeman. He got himself trained in those therapies. Then he returned back and started the first ever keto program in Mumbai in 1996. Dr. Janak Nathan is known to be the pioneer of ketogenic therapies in India. He also has the credit of molding those therapies to suit as per the Indian eating styles. What is ketogenic diet? Actually, the name itself is explanatory, ketogenic. That means the diet which generates ketones is known as ketogenic diet. To define, it's a high fat, adequate protein, low carbohydrate diet that produces metabolic changes associated with the starvation state. It produces controlled ketonemia, and ketones become the primary fuel of the brain. Now, the word controlled is very important over here, because we'll be generating the ketones which are exactly required to treat the disease. See, if the ketones are low, it's of no use because the disease won't be getting treated. And if the ketones are higher, that is also dangerous because the patient may go into toxemia. So we'll be generating an exactly required amount of ketones. Now, how will you know that the generated ketones are to the exact level? So we'll be checking the urine ketones of the patient on KD every day, at least 3 times, to know we are generating the proper level of ketones. So now you are seeing on the screen the definition of ketogenic diet. So reading this, do you think the ketogenic diet is a balanced diet? This is our next question. Sir, can we have the poll, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So please answer the question. Do you think the ketogenic diet is a balanced diet? Yes or no?
This is the small question, I believe. People
Yes.
responded quickly.
Yeah. So if it is ready, we
I can
can show
flash
the
the
results.
results.
Yeah.
There are few who are responding, so
Okay. Okay. Fine. Fine.
flash the results.
Yes. Take your time.
Yeah.
We are ready. Fine. So 33% people are saying it is a balanced diet, while 67% are saying it is not a balanced diet. Fine. Okay. I'll be answering this.
Again, बोलना
हाँ.
क्लिक करायचं इथे क्लिक
One
करायचं
second.
मध्ये इथे कुठेतरी arrow हे आहे ना हे आहे सर कुठे इथे क्लिक करायचं मग क्लिक
Now this figure shows the caloric differences between the diet types, traditional ones and ketogenic diets. As you know, the majority chunk of calories in traditional diet, they come from carbohydrates followed by proteins, and like 25 to 35% of calories, they come from fats. While in ketogenic diet, majority of the calories, like 70 to 80%, sometimes 90%, they come from the fats only. Then proteins are adequate as like traditional diets, and what we are reducing are carbohydrates. The figures which you see in this pie chart, they are variable. These depend upon the patient's age, its disease type, disease severity, meal tolerance, etc. So depending upon the macronutrient composition, ketogenic diets are classified into 4 types. Classical ketogenic diets, MCTKD, modified Atkins, and low glycemic index treatment. So we'll see these types one by one very short. First is classical ketogenic diet. Practiced since about a century, the ketogenic diets are used since a century, and it truly works wonder in almost all indications of ketogenic diet. Ketosis is awesome. The results are superb. So whenever the patient is able to tolerate, the classical KD remains the first choice. The ratio in the classical ketogenic diet shown is 4:1. That means for every 1 part of protein and carbohydrates, there will be 4 parts of fats. Number 4 stands for fats and number 1 stands for proteins and carbohydrate together. That means about 90% energy will be coming only from the fats and 10% from the proteins and carb together. So we are planning a diet of say 2000 calories. About 1800 calories will be coming only from the fats and 10% calories from proteins and carbohydrates together. So even if the patient is eating 1 whole egg and 1 fruit, the protein and carb allowance gets over, and what the patient will be eating the whole day is only fats. This ratio, whatever it is, it has to be maintained similarly in all the meals. When we plan, say, normal diets, we can give fruit in the morning or dal in the noon or like egg at the evening. But this is not the case with KD. Why? Because of the ketones. Because if we give only fats in the morning and carbs in the evening ketones will be failing and the disease won't be getting treated. So this is the important thing. Before using, all the macronutrients should be weighed carefully and then to be used. This is a medical prescribed therapy, so it requires close and continuous supervision by healthcare team. This is a restrictive diet. So ketogenic diet is not a balanced diet. It is a restrictive therapy. So it requires vitamin and mineral supplementation to the patients as long as they are on KD. We just cannot immediately start ketogenic diet, but there has to be initial fasting or carbohydrate washout phase before that. The next is medium chain triglycerides. MCTs are more ketogenic. That means they are rapidly transported via hepatic portal system and they generate more ketones per unit of energy when metabolized. In classical KD, majority of the fats were coming from long chain fatty acids, while here they are coming from medium chain triglycerides. This diet uses 60% energy from MCTs, 10% from proteins, and 15 to 19% from carbohydrates. All foods should be weighed carefully and recipes should be well calculated. The next is Atkins. You all must have heard about the Atkins diet, right? Designed for weight loss, Atkins diet is very famous. So this is the extended or modified version of Atkins diet, which is used for epileptic patients. Where carbohydrates are given 10 gram per day and for children and 15 gram per day for adults. Proteins are allowed freely. There is no need to measure the proteins. Energy is given freely. It is no need to measure it. And high fat foods are encouraged. Say in last 10-15 years, modified Atkins has emerged a diet with great potential as the alternative ketogenic therapy, because it is very suitable to patients who are working, who are maybe going to school or college. So these patients, they prefer the flexibility of modified Atkins because it's easy to implement in, easy to comply with. So this is about the modified Atkins. Next is a low glycemic index treatment. Although it is a high fat diet, it permits more carbohydrates like 40 to 60 gram per day. Approximately 30% energy comes from protein and all carbohydrates we are using are of low glycemic index. That is, they should be having GI below 50. Like modified Atkins, there is no need to measure or weigh any food and it produces lower ketosis. This is a chart which showing macronutrient distribution of all 4 types of ketogenic diets in a glance. As you can see, newly introduced therapies like MCT, MAD, LGIT have lower amount of fats than the classical ketogenic diet. So which diet to choose then? Well, that depends upon the age of the patient, its disease type, food preferences, feeding methods. As I said earlier, if the patient is young adult or adolescent, is working, then they prefer the flexibility of the modified Atkins diet. If the patient is still not able to adhere to the restrictions of carbohydrates, we can think about low glycemic index therapy. If the patient is below 2 years of age, classical KD. If the patient is using feeding tube, classical KD. If you want rapid results like an infantile spasms or status epilepticus, go for classical KD. If the patient is affording and wants more generous carbohydrate allowance, think of MCT KD. So these things will get worse with as you get more and more practice in those therapies. Now, what are the indications of using ketogenic diet? They are neurological disorders as well as non-neurological ones. These are the neurological disorders which are particularly responsive to ketogenic diet. Obviously, the first one is drug-resistant epilepsy, which is practiced since century. Then comes Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, brain cancers, neurotrauma, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, disorders with chronic pain and inflammation, autism, and migraine. Would like to add more word about drug-resistant epilepsy because there are so many types, out of which few types they respond very beautifully to ketogenic diet, while few of the epilepsies they respond moderately. This is the list of particularly responsive epilepsies in which tuberous sclerosis complex, superrefractory status epilepticus, Angelman syndrome, complex 1 mitochondrial disorders, Utahara, Douce syndrome, David syndrome, GLUT1 deficiency as sir mentioned, infantile spasms and pyruvate dehydrogenase deficiency. And these are the newer indications of KD in non-biological cancer, obesity, type 2 diabetes mellitus, sports and fitness, PCOS, and acne. Now we'll see one by one how KD acts upon in those conditions. This figure is, though it looks complicated, it is not actually. This figure shows the anticonvulsant action of ketogenic diet. Basically, after the ingestion of ketogenic diet, free fatty acids are elevated in the system. Ketones are basically the chemicals which the body generates when there is not enough insulin, and it has to break down fats for energy. So once formed, these ketones, they build up in the blood, they cross the blood-brain barrier, and they increase the levels of GABA. And this GABA, it is a neurotransmitter, it inhibits neurons and the anticonvulsant action occurs. Also, through so many complex mechanisms, these ketones, they stabilize synaptic function and anticonvulsant action takes place. This is a proposed mechanism used in neurological disorders. See, neuroprotective action of ketones was known since long, but in last 20-25 years, other benefits of ketones were put forth, like antioxidant action, anti-inflammatory action, and using those, trials were done to tap the potential of KD in other disorders too. And the results came positive in many of the cases. So anti-cancer mechanism of KD is actually very simple. The Weber effect says that the cells which are metabolically very active are very much sensitive to the lack of energy. Cancer cells require so much energy, almost 18 times more nutrition than the normal cells. And what KD does, it reduces their basic fuel, that is glucose, and increases ketone bodies. See, during ketosis, normal cells, they get transition to ketone bodies for their fuel, but tumor cells cannot use the ketones for their fuel. In fact, ketones can be toxic to the cancer cells. This energy restriction causes the tumor cells to starve, and this affects all hallmarks of the cancer, say proliferation, say edema, say angiogenesis, everything. So KD provides fermentable superfuel to the functioning mitochondria. See, there is no anti-cancer drug available till date which can target only tumor cells and increase the metabolic efficiency of normal cells, so does the KD. So we can say that KD can be alternative or complementary approach to cancer management. It is seen that the efficiency of KD gets enhanced when it's used in combination with certain drugs and procedures. And obviously it's a low cost and non-toxic alternative too. This one is type 2 diabetes mellitus. The pathophysiology of majority of individuals nowadays is related to the insulin resistance and not deficiency. I think you all will agree with this. So despite of intensive management with insulin and oral hypoglycemics, the normoglycemia remains an elusive goal. If we talk about the pre-insulin era, so before the things, the treatment of diabetes, combination of modalities like opioids and potassium bromide, alcohol, and more potent than the medication was the diet, which was high fat, low carb diet. This is a reference from textbook in 18th century, which says a diabetic should avoid all saccharine, means sugar, and farinaceous, means starchy substances. After the introduction of insulin, whenever there were high blood sugar, physicians were giving insulin. Patients started eating more and more amount of high carb food. So this was ending in insulin resistance. Okay, in several studies, it is shown that if we use low glycemic index foods in diabetic patients' diet, the postprandial sugar levels and insulin levels are reduced. So taking this concept a little further, if we reduce absolute amount of carbohydrates from patient's diet, what can happen? See, basically the dietary protein has a minimal effect on blood sugar levels and dietary fats have none, because fats have glycemic index of 0. So this theory was used behind type 2 diabetes mellitus and ketogenic diet. Okay, and the results were positive in few of the trials. So this is a randomized trial which shows the effect of HbA1c and end HbA1c and start HbA1c. They also studied the difference in weights and the results were promising. Moving on to next, about sports and fitness. Beyond the clinical applications of keto, nowadays there is growing interest by sportsmen and athletes in ketogenic diets. Those who want better recovery and their fitness. Our bodies have abundance of metabolic potential energy. This energy is stored in body in two forms. The first is glycogen and second is fats. The glycogen is stored in the liver and skeletal muscles, and fats is stored in adipose tissues. Whenever the energy expenditure is high and the carb stores are near depletion, our body just cannot easily shift to fats for energy unless the person is trained on low carbohydrate diet for several weeks. When such a diet is given to a person, there happens a complex set of adaptations where his body learns to use the lipid-based fuels. This process is known as keto adaptation. See, conventional wisdom was that the carbs are the best source of fuel as in exercise, but this perspective is now changing, seeing the benefits of fat as premium fuel. So what are the benefits of fuel for exercise? The first is fat stored in our body is much more amplitude than the stored glycogen. How much? Even in the thinnest athlete, the calories from fats can be more than 20,000 and glycogen only 2,000. Fats give more energy per weight than carbohydrates. 9 versus 4 kilocalories. And fats are used more efficiently because they do not require a water molecule for their storage as like glycogen. Relying on fats decreases the need for fuel during exercise. So this can reduce the gastric symptoms in the athletes, endurance athletes. Using fat as a premium fuel can lead to greater ease in the fat loss. So there is improved body composition, improved performance and power to weight ratio. In non-keto adapted athletes, prolonged exercises often leads to profound mental confusion. It is known as hitting the wall phenomena. But a keto adapted brain is able to tolerate extraordinary low levels of blood sugar levels without giving any signs and symptoms of hypoglycemia. And another benefit of enhanced recovery may be because of less oxidative stress or anti-inflammatory action of the ketones. This shows the peak fat oxidation during exercise in non-keto adapted athletes as well as keto adapted ones. They also studied the VO2 max and it shows better in keto adapted athletes. So we can say that keto presents an alternative approach with growing level of scientific and observational support. There is field testing indicated high levels of success, but very little laboratory testing focused on performance outcomes. The next is obesity. Whenever you think about using ketogenic diet for weight loss, there are three questions that come in everybody's mind. The first is, how can one lose weight by eating high-fat foods? The second thing is, why the weight loss in KD is faster than the normal one? And the third, what are the benefits for using KD other than the regular ones? The first thing first, see, whenever we plan the weight loss diet, what we do is calorie restriction. We calculate the burn of the patient throughout the whole day and we say minus 400, 500 calories from his diet, and this is how we achieve the weight loss target, right? So same does in KD. See, no matter from where the calories are coming, from fats or carbohydrates. If we are giving calorie restriction, the weight loss is going to be there. For energy restrictions, see, proteins are same in both the diets, regular ones and ketogenic diet ones. So for energy restriction, what we have to reduce either carbohydrates or fats. We have to keep either carb low or fat low. But if we are keeping carb low, what the patient burns is only fats And that's why the weight loss and fat loss in ketogenic diet is much more faster. Though on energy restriction, the patients on KD are never hungry, maybe because of the satiating action of the fats or ketones. And several studies have shown that the lean body mass is better preserved in ketogenic diets than the other ones. This figure shows the short-term and long-term effects of sustained nutritional ketosis leading to keto adaptation. And there is definitely better body composition, less oxidative stress, less inflammation, improved longevity, improved quality of life, and physical resilience. This is a patient randomized controlled trial which compared fat-restricted diets and carb-restricted diets. Along with the weight, they also studied lipid profiles of the patients, and the results were promising indeed. Although it's clear that KD are an effective weight loss intervention leading to greater fat loss, but it remains to be determined whether the benefit is of carb restriction or nutritional ketosis provided added benefits. But more research is still needed in those areas. Next is PCOS. The reason behind imbalance of sex hormones is usually insulin resistance. And it was suggested that if we could correct insulin resistance by low carb KD, we can improve overall endocrine balance. But this is still in a primitive stage. Another thing is acne. It was seen that there are some foods which stimulate the proliferative pathways and they stimulate the development of acne. They also stimulate the insulin-like growth factor. But still we need more clinical trials to resolve this issue about action of KD in this. So this was about the mechanism of action of ketogenic diet in various disorders, neurological and non-neurological ones. So you have seen the effects of ketogenic diet. So do you think there is another side too? Are there any side effects of this? So this is our next question poll. Ajinkya sir, can we have the next poll? Now, do you think the ketogenic diet comes with side effects? Never, or sometimes, or most of the times?
So we have another 30 seconds.
Okay.
63% people have voted.
Voted, fine.
I'll request others to.
Please vote. Are we ready?
Yeah, we are ready with the poll one.
Okay, okay. So 3% attendees are saying never, 78% sometimes, okay, and 19% are saying most of the times. Great. Rose has a thorn, and there are adverse effects of ketogenic diet. Not every time, but most of the times, yes. Okay, so as soon as we initiate the diet, the first ever adverse effects are gastrointestinal. There can be nausea or vomiting, abdominal pain, which can be taken care of by medications. There can be dyslipidemia as it's a high fat diet. Then hypoglycemia, some laboratory abnormalities, 10% growth failure can be seen in some children, not all. Carnitine deficiency, selenium deficiency, bone disease, and kidney stone. So these are the adverse effects they are seen the patients with ketogenic diet. Fortunately, most adverse effects are predictable and they only uncommonly in themselves lead to diet discontinuation. Parents and caregivers should be counseled as to common, occasional, and rare adverse effects. Now, I show here a case. A 9-year-old female, a first issue of non-consanguineous marriage. She had multiple episodes of abnormal movements. Look at her legs, her hands, her eye movements. Initially, the frequency was 8 to 10 episodes per day, and gradually it increased up to 200 per day. Child had no family history, normal birth details, mild global delay. Her episodes were epileptic as well as non-epileptic. She was suspected to have glutamate deficiency and advised on ketogenic diet. So I started her with the classical ketogenic diet, which is a class 1 treatment for glutamate deficiency. She was underweight, her weight was 17.5. I started her with the beginning ratio of KD 2.5 to 1, dietary units coming to 26.5, DOC 50.7, and meal order 4. After calculations, this was the final macronutrient distribution. Her fats per day were coming to 126.7 gram, proteins 34.8, and carbs 15.9 gram. And if we divide that by 4, because for the 4 meal frequency, per meal fats were coming to 31.6, protein 8.7, and carbohydrate 3.97. Usually once the diet gets set, I call the patients for follow-up every month. Rest of the things will be taken care by on phone. So this is the follow-up summary of this patient in the 4 months. As you can see, her weight and height is continuously increasing. That means we are observing a normal growth pattern over here in spite of ketogenic diet. Her urine ketones were 3 plus to 4 plus in the initial months, and later on they were continuously 4 plus. As the ketones went on increasing, her seizures went on reducing. Initial frequency was about 200 in a day, and after 4 months of ketogenic diet, it was down to 12 to 13 per day. The patient observed other complaints like motion frequency, vomiting, but these things were taken care of by medications and change in the diet. Regarding milestones, you saw in the video the patient was not able to stand or walk because of these abnormal movements, but after starting the diet for 2 months, the patient started walking on her own. There was improved alertness and her talk was also improved. So this is the beauty of KD. It gives you job satisfaction of entirely another level. Okay. So to put in a nutshell, the ketogenic diet is a prescribed medical diet therapy that requires continuous close supervision by experienced medical healthcare team. It shouldn't be confused with ordinary weight loss diet that the person can manage by himself. No. These therapies, they require continuous physical examination, laboratory testing to remain safe and prevent complications. However small the unit is, a dietitian alone can't prescribe the ketogenic diet. There at least has to be a medical practitioner with her who understands the significance of ketogenic diet and is able to manage all the side effects that can be arising through this diet. Ideally, the ketogenic therapy should include a neurologist trained in KD, certified keto dietitian, clinical psychologist, EEG technician, and physiotherapist, speech therapist as per the need. This is a requirement of a team of KD if you want to initiate the diet for epileptic patients. Say if you want to initiate for cancer patients, then along with the dietitian, there has to be a cancer specialist, oncocare unit, etc. At the end, the take-home message from my session, KD is beneficial in certain neurological conditions. It should be initiated in association with trained neurologist. It is a restrictive therapy which requires supplementation with micronutrients. It comes with many complications, yes, and role of ketogenic diet as a therapy in non-neurological conditions is positive yet under research. My sincere thanks to WEFA for organizing this series of webinars and giving me the opportunity to speak. And thank you very much to all attendees for your patient listening. If any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for the insightful session. And I know this is a complete day workshop. I have personally attended with you, but
Yeah.
encapsulated it in a stipulated time period. So thank you very much for that. And keto diet generally get misunderstood. There are many myths and perceptions about it. So I believe most of them got clear. But we have received few questions. We'll start with. and then
Sure.
ask their precise questions. So the question is, how long ketogenic diet is to be continued in epilepsy?
Okay. The duration of the ketogenic diet gets varied in each and every case. Okay. So, for example, we are prescribing a diet for infantile spasms, then the whole treatment gets over in say 6 months to 12 or 13 months. In some patients, the ketogenic diet responds so beautifully. There is so much improvement intellectually that the parents and patient prefer to be on KD for longer periods. And in conditions like GLUT1 deficiency and pyruvate dehydrogenase deficiency, it is a class 1 treatment. So, and the patient has to take this diet for their lifetime. Next question, please.
And the next question is, which fats do you recommend in KD? Whether the regular oils are supposed to be inflammatory. So precisely, this is a query related to the oils which can be used.
Okay. We use long chain fatty acids in the classical ketogenic diet, and MCTs are used in that kind of diet. Sometimes we use PUFA, but the ideal intake will be like we have to do combination of all the oils. We don't use any single oil continuously in a single patient, but we use oil combinations. This is used for improving the lipid profiles also, and the patient likes tests also. I think that solves it.
Yeah, thank you. So there is one more question coming. Can KD be useful in brain function as a memory enhancer while attempting the competitive exams? Very different question.
Yes, indeed a good question. Actually, the ketogenic diet has, as I said, comes with many adverse effects. So it is not recommendable in using normal patient just for memory or something. It has some intellectual functions increase, but it comes with side effects too. So we have to balance each and everything before starting these diets. Next, please.
Then is KD a prolonged condition and preventable condition like diabetes, or it can be fully cured with the treatment and diet?
In non-neurological conditions like diabetes or the PCOS, the role of KD is yet under the research. So we don't have like class 1 trials for that. This is the case, and we have to use as a first class treatment. Not yet. Still trials are going on.
There is a question coming from Dr. Devashish Panigrai. He is asking for carbohydrate washout and initiation of keto diet. Do you prefer to admit all children, or can be done in OPD basis?
Okay. Initially, or in John Hopkins Institute, the protocol is still admission of the patients for this fasting phase. But at our center, we don't admit the patients, and it's done by carbohydrate washout phase. It's almost like 4 to 5 days are required to completely wash out the carbohydrates from the system, and then we can start with the main ketogenic diet. There is no need for admission.
So,
Fasting was the previous method, but nowadays it's not used. We use carbohydrate washout phase only.
And ma'am, like any time in future, I'm sure today being a 45-minute session or 1 hour session, a lot of queries and questions. So how best we can reach out to you with so many questions coming?
Oh, you can just contact on my mail. Please give my mail, sir, and whatever the questions can come over there, because this is a topic, it's like can't be covered in a single day workshop also. So I try to like compact it. So better if the other questions are coming on mail.
Wonderful. So we'll try to communicate through that.
Yes, sure.
Now, Dr. Agarwal is asking, in 7-year-old obese child, how keto can be a source of management?
Regarding the child obesity, there are other options too. Calorie restriction diet also work well. There is no need to use ketogenic diet if there is no significant like epilepsy or something else. So if it is not working, then we can think of, but as I said, it comes with many side effects. So it's better to use a word of caution for that.
And when it comes to the spectrum, Dr. Mahajan is asking duration of the ketogenic diet for a child with autism spectrum.
Yes,
So
we
what
are
should be the
using
duration? Yeah.
duration, sorry?
Yes.
He's
Yeah. The
asking for
duration of
duration.
ketogenic diet. Yes.
Okay, okay. When we start this diet in autistic patients, we have to wait for at least 3 months to see the results. If we are seeing the results in a positive way, we can continue that for a period of say, like say 6 months or a year, and then we can taper it off.
And also the same question in epilepsy.
Yeah, as I said earlier, in epilepsy, it depends in patient to patient. If the results are favorable, we are tapering off the drugs, then the patient can stay on KD for a longer period also. So this is, that depends in patient to patient. It's an individualized thing. It can't be generalized.
Okay. So there are a few questions coming on the other platform also. And now Mona Lisa is asking, what food source will fulfill a 1500 kilocalorie diet? I believe this is a precise request.
1500 kilocalorie, we have to see the
Can
patient's
diet.
weight and his age, other comorbidities, and then we have to think about all these things. Because as I said, I showed the chart also that macronutrient distribution, it changes in each and every patient as per his need.
Right. And there is another question coming. Is there any evidence or the studies available when there is a neurodegenerative disease? Anything which subside to the claim like ketogenic diet helps to the children who are already having some neuro disorder?
Yeah, the actually trials are going in these things also, but still we don't have a classical evidence to use them on that basis.
Okay. And is it allowed to be used during a lactational period?
No, we don't recommend that.
And so I believe we have covered most of the question out here with your answer. Any questions from the audience? They can still say. Otherwise, ma'am, any other input you would like to give it to our attendees today?
The ketogenic diet is a really vast thing, and it does well in the class 1 trials shows like epilepsy, especially resistant epilepsy. And before using it for weight loss or some other purposes, take advice of professional. Don't just do it of your own. This is the main thing. This is a two-sided tool. It comes with many complications, so it has to be done under close supervision by healthcare team. Okay, so that's from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. It's been a pleasure to have you today, and Dr. Vilas Yadav as well. And we are very thankful. The audience were pretty participative today, and I'm sure we will keep on reaching out to you with a lot of questions, which we are hopefully getting soon. And thank you so much. We all had a wonderful learning today. And with this, we are closing the day. And we are also inviting the attendees to spare time tomorrow at 3 p.m. where we are going to discuss more about the nutrition, the new norms with Dr. Midula Phadke and Dr. Sunil Agarwal. And I believe that the time is changing, and we are learning a lot from the recent experience of ours. And our effort will be to discuss and to bring the best possible solution from the experts, their opinion, which matters a lot to us. And once again, thank you so much, all of you, and looking forward to see you at tomorrow on the same link by 3 p.m. Thank you, ma'am, once again.
Thank you so much. Yes.